Hey, what's up, everybody? Larry from Inner City Carry, Instagram, and YouTube. I'm back with another video about the Apex trigger for the MMP 2.0. I wanted to do this video after I've got some rounds through the firearm because I, I I did the trigger. I installed the trigger and I took it to the range. It was crazy light. I didn't like it, so I went back to the drawing board and I jumped on the Apex website and found something that helped me out and get me to where I want the trigger to be. There's a few things that I've done to my gun that you can do to yours, and it'll clean up the trigger pull. It'll clean up a few things that I wasn't happy with, and I mean, you may not be happy with it either, but I mean, it worked for me. You know what I mean? And it's miles better than what it was when I first got it. Well, to me, it is anyway. I mean, if you've been shooting yours and yours broken in, you might get some small changes in trigger pull and weight and all of that stuff. But what I did worked really, really well. So first, let's go ahead and safety check the pistol. Magazine out, snap caps, couple of racks, lock the slide. You know, nothing in there. It's empty. All right, so let's get started. So what I did, I'll just go over the pistol. So I have night vision sights. You can see that that is orange and it's pretty bright. I did a video on these already. Um, so what I have is the Apex trigger. So the Apex Flatty comes with a bunch of different springs and some other stuff, right? But you got some options between what you can do with those. So you don't necessarily have to use all the Apex stuff. You can use your stock stuff and it will work. But Apex has a chart on their website that you can go to and basically tune your trigger. That works. What I also did was, let's go ahead and break it down. So what I did was I polished everything in mine. So if you can see that, that's that's clean, right? This thing has, I think I put 95 rounds through it today. So it has some dirt on it, but the cool thing about doing a polish is all I gotta do is just wipe it off. You know what I mean? Quick little wipe down, and she's good to go. Um, I did the polish when I did the trigger job. So when I did the trigger job, I polished up all these parts. I polished, the rails, the ejector, the extractor, the trigger bar, you name it. I polished everything. The only thing that I didn't polish was the sear because Apex gave me a new sear. And it's smooth. I'm probably going to end up polishing it later on, try to smooth that out. But it's already smooth. It really doesn't need it. I did that, and it lightened up everything. So I use some of the stock springs for it. And when I did that, it was supposed to be at like, I want to say 4.5 pounds or something like that. This thing felt way lighter than 4.5 pounds. It probably was around somewhere 4 pounds or maybe four or just under four. That was extremely light for me. This is my EDC, so um, I didn't like it. So I had to go back to the drum board. I had to figure something else out. So I remember when I did the install, the video that I used to help me actually do it. The guy showed a chart on Apex website. So I went to Apex website and looked for this chart. Man, it's not exactly on the website. It's actually in their forms on the website. So you have to go in and then you type in like Apex tuning chart or something like that for the MP. Once you find that, it's going to be about 6 or 7 different combinations that has sub combinations in it that you can use to tune your trigger the way you want. So there's that. So I settled on what would essentially be the 5.5 trigger, but it's not 5.5. This thing is probably like maybe 5, if anything, 5'2". I don't know. It's a little bit lighter than 5.5. So that's one thing that you can do to lighten your trigger up and smooth it out. That's what I did, and I used a Dremel with some Walmart metal polish. You know what I mean? The rails, they got a thin coat of whatever it is, whatever kind of coating it is on there. It polished right off. There's no need to sand it. Don't sand it. I'll just put that out there. Don't sand it. There's no sanding needed. You know, all you got to do is just get the Dremel with some metal polish and then go to work with it. So, how did it shoot today? Today I put 95 rounds through it. The first time I took it out, I put maybe 100 rounds through it, and it shot better today than it did when I first installed the trigger. I don't know if that's from the spring change, or if I just broke, it's just broken in, or I'm used to it right now. Could be the sights too. I don't know, because I can pick the sights up way better than those stock whatever they were. They were crap. The install. Okay, so there's some things that you're gonna need in the install to make it easier. The Apex trigger has a pin that literally goes through the trigger bar. So in order for you to get that in there, man, you're gonna need I use a vise. You're gonna need a vise with some smooth clamps or whatever, you know what I'm saying? Something smooth where you won't damage the trigger. You push the pin in just enough to where you can wiggle the trigger bar in and hear it snap. And once it snaps, it's locked in there, and then you just push it all the way. If you don't have a vise to do that, you're gonna catch hell with it. I mean, that's just honest. You're gonna catch hell with it because the pin is a real tight fit, and it's made that way. Once you get it in there, everything else is pretty simple. You know what I mean? Just basically putting it back together. This trigger is a must. This flat trigger is a definite must for the Apex, for the M&P. That hinge trigger that's stock is crap. It is. It's garbage. I didn't like it. You know what I mean? I carry CZ P10C, P10S as my EDC, and I kind of wanted to go a different route. Well, I ain't gonna say I go a different route. I just wanted something else to carry, and I got a Glock. I carried that. It's a Glock. I mean, I got aftermarket triggers in all my guns, but this thing right here for the M&P is pretty dope, especially being able to tune it. Most aftermarket triggers you probably won't get that many springs. Now with the Overwatch Precision kit, I think theirs is a whole setup. I'm not sure, but I talked to somebody over there and they told me that it's going to be January or February before those things actually start shipping. So I'm probably going to run this until those start shipping, and then I'm gonna swap it out and I'm gonna compare it. If that one is better than this one, I'll do another video, of course, and do an update. But for the most part, right now, I'm happy, man. I'm happy with it, dude. This thing is pretty dope. Do a full polish job on your internals, man. It'll clean up everything. Once you do that, polish the trigger bar. Make sure you polish the trigger bar. Go on Apex website, look for that chart, find out what springs and what weight that you want, and basically just play around with it, man. I mean, after doing that, I mean, I got it to where I want. Next thing I'm going to do to it is blacklist barrel. I was probably not going to make a difference in the way it shoots, but I mean, it looks dope, at least, and it kind of complete what I'm going for, I guess. I should give you guys a better view of the slide. So in the slide, I polish the safety and I polish the striker. You don't have to do a full polish on this. I did, because I'm kind of like a maniac when I get the Dremel and the polish out. I go crazy. So I don't know if you can see. Yeah. So polish the safety and then the striker, and Once you do that, it's going to be real slick. So Apex actually gave me a safety to go with the kit. I polished that as well. So that's what's in here right now. Um, it's slick as hell, man. Like the trigger pull is it's crazy. It's like maybe stocks P10ish, or I'm not gonna say PPQ. I don't know. But yeah. So this is the trigger bar, top of the trigger bar. So this is what hits the safety, and you know what I'm saying, sends the striker forward. Polish that. You want to polish the whole thing. So you know what I'm saying. I just polished the whole trigger just to make sure that I didn't miss anything. That even if you don't have the Apex kit, take your gun apart. YouTube, find some YouTube videos. Take your gun apart. Polish this whole section, and I guarantee your trigger pull is gonna liven up. It's gonna smooth out. It's not gonna be crunchy or anything. It's gonna be pretty dope. I also did feed ramp on the barrel, so that's kind of dirty, right? Let's see. Yeah, so that's kind of dirty, right? Just take a rag. I don't need to. Well, you're still gonna have to run like a boar snake or something through it, but quick wipe. See if I can get it off, and boom, like new. Polishing is something that really works, man. It's almost a must for me now that I do this to any gun that I can. Um, that's pretty much it, man. If you're thinking about getting the Apex trigger, get it. Go on their website, look up the chart, get you a Dremel and some polishing wheels and some good polish. Go to town on this thing, man. I guarantee that once you do that, you ain't gonna want to carry anything else. You're not gonna want to shoot anything else, dude. This thing is sweet, man, with the work being done to it. So the trigger install wasn't hard. You just need a couple things. You need a vise, and you know, some punches and you know what I'm saying, the normal stuff. But other than that, it was pretty straightforward. You just got to know how to take your gun apart, which you know what I'm saying. There's YouTube videos on that. It's worth it, man. Do it. Larry from Inner City Carry, Instagram and YouTube. If you're watching this on YouTube, please like, share, subscribe. I'm trying to get my channel up. I got camera stuff coming, so I'm trying to get some better videos out there. You know what I'm saying? At least get some shooting footage out there. So everybody stay up. See you next time.